Welcome, everyone, and all of our ISM members, chapter partners, and guests joining us for today's program on relationship building, which is a part of our Women in Empowerment series. Please be sure to participate using the chat area during this event. We do want to make this interactive. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to our host for today, Jessica Walther, who is the CEO and founder of Itivate.
All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, Kathy, thank you so much. This is a stage that I love being on with, and then especially with the two other amazing women who you're going to be really in an opportunity to get to know better. So first of all, as Kathy mentioned, I'm Jessica Walther. I'm your MC for today, and really excited to really get us talking about the power of relationships. Now, this is something that we talk a lot about, but execute not so well all the time, right? So we talk about the power of relationships. We talk about the importance of communicating, but the actual day in, day out dedication to doing this well is usually maybe not even on the side of our desk. Maybe it's like fallen off completely, depending on what else is going on. So we're going to have a really great workshop with Nausheen, who I'll introduce here in a moment. And she's going to walk us through a lot of tips and tricks that are going to help us really put this into the processes that we already have in our work every single day, right? We don't want to have this be some sort of separate process. We want it to integrate into what we're already doing. That way we actually get it done. So as Kathy mentioned, I'm Jessica Walther, CEO and co-founder of Itivate. We're a process excellence organization focused on everything we do with being people first, always, always. So I'm actually here in Atlanta. We just got weaving certified, so really excited for that. We're doing our first conference as a certified business. And it was super, super easy for the three of us to decide that this is a conversation that we wanted to have together. So we're talking about collaboration with our suppliers, collaboration with our team members, collaboration with our customers. And the reason why this is such an interesting dynamic here that we have on the panelist group today is there are a lot of reasons why anybody would look at the three of us and say, well, gosh, aren't they competitors? They're all in procurement. How in the heck are they all on the same conference session giving the same kind of information and training? Well, the reason is because we believe that there needs to be more conversation happening like this together, not separate. And when we think about, as procurement professionals, supply chain professionals, when we think back to the best case scenario where the targets were hit, the timeline was on track, the results were delivered, and everybody didn't like hate each other at the end, it all comes back to collaboration. So that's what we're demonstrating here as three women-owned business owners, right? Leaders in our space who have incredible diverse experience. And rather than ever make that a competitive environment, we're demonstrating the power of collaboration here. So we're throwing out that old us versus them thinking that sometimes we're forced into those situations, no doubt. But really what we're here to share is the diversity with which we apply the idea of improving your results, building strategies that work, and executing real success by putting the human first in the process. We can no longer pretend that mechanically solving something and tinkering around with what needs to be done is going to get us to where we want to be. So what we're here to share and hopefully have you feel through the screen with us today is we're the consultants you want to work with. We're the ones that make it really, really fun to do this work. We make it less stressful. And if you're undergoing any major transformation in your business, the three of us are here to show you how relationships absolutely play into that. So if you're going through a department restructuring, you're implementing a new strategy, you're implementing a new piece of technology, any of those things, people are involved, right? But usually we don't see that come up on the project tracker or the Gantt chart that we use to follow and carry through the project, right? So this session is absolutely for you if you're looking to get that sort of, how do I do this well in 2022? The business has not slowed down, and we gotta adapt, right? So let's do it real time. So actually, Nausheen, if you could, can you switch the slide for me? Let me see if I can, there you go. Can you switch it for me? Are you able to move the slide? No. All right. Well, you guys, this is.
Just give me a few seconds. Always tech coming in the way. I'll get there.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So while we're pulling that up, what I'd like to ask, and this is something that if you've ever attended a session where the three of us have been involved, we like to really make a point to ask what you want to get out of this session. We're gonna talk kind of, hopefully not at you the whole time, but we are going to be doing more of the presenting, Nausheen especially. So what I'd like to know is, what do you want to get out of this session? You're going to be with us for an hour and 15 minutes or so. So just drop it in the chat. You know, what are those things that are super, super important that you get out of this session? So just drop it in the chat. It can be a word, it can be a phrase, it can be anything that is on your mind of why we have 62 people in this room, you guys. I really hope that we have some priorities on why we're here. Otherwise, maybe we're going to be getting some questions here soon on, so what did you learn in that hour and 15 minutes? Let's really make it clear here what we're looking to get out of it. So drop it in the chat. And if you don't have an answer, that's okay.
All right, so we have a couple coming in, and this is Amanda, by the way. I'm going to be monitoring the chat group here today. Building self-confidence, making better connections virtually, how to foster collaboration between multiple outsourced suppliers, looking from somebody else's perspective. These are all great. Do's and don'ts in building relationships, connecting to a new job. How to work among many different groups of people, types of people, how to influence responsible groups that if you're accountable for results, standing firm without making others defensive or appearing aggressive. Ooh, that's a good one. Oh,
good one.
That's a one that we talk about a lot. Ideas to get responses from coworkers, working well with difficult coworkers, how to deal with difficult people. So that's a common one, it seems like.
Yes.
Influence, dealing with differences and difficult people, and influence without authority.
Ooh, yes, please. More training on that.
All right.
I love it. Cool.
Going. Yep.
Yeah. So Nausheen, if you want to go back, now I'll do official introductions. So it's not like we just totally skipped over that part.
Sorry about that.
No. That's me, that's Zoom, that's everybody a little bit. So don't worry about it. All right. So here's who we are. You'll again notice 3 different logos on there, right? 3 different companies who specialize in very similar things. Again, we're doing this because we need more of this work being done, not less. So I would love, since you've already heard from Amanda, let's go ahead and introduce Amanda. Amanda is a partner in business for me with Itivate. We've partnered together for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda, tell us about your business and what you want the audience to know.
All right, and I'll keep this brief. So just thank you for being here today. I am the founder of Wonder Services. We're all about digital procurement transformation, and to make that work and to drive adoption, we know people need to come first. So that's what we're all about, is the change management around that digital transformation and helping you get the results that you're expecting. So I am going to play behind the scenes a little bit more today, monitoring the chat and making sure that this is a highly interactive session for everyone involved. So with that said, I will hand it back.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I know I've said a little bit about Itivate already. So we're a process excellence firm focused in change management, putting the people first, getting people ready for big transformations. Obviously, you see how Amanda and I collaborate in that way, given the continuum of care that we give our clients in that regard. And then Nausheen, the star of the show today, who's going to be really leading the entire workshop on giving us the tools that we need to communicate better. So Nausheen, go ahead.
Oh, you're too kind, Jessica. It's absolutely an honor to be able to partner with Jessica and Amanda here. So very briefly about me, I'm a corporate speaker and trainer. So I focus on helping organizations bring their teams together, communicate with the external parties, whether it's customers or suppliers, better communicate with them so that their understanding flows, right? And reduce conflict, reduce stress so that the workplace inside and outside the organization becomes a happy place for everyone. That's what I focus on. And I am in Canada, in Toronto.
Yeah, good point. We didn't talk about that. So awesome. Cool. Well, very good. So Nausheen, if you want to flip to the next two slides ahead, then we'll get into it. All right. The next question before we jump right in, and guys, the reason we ask these questions up front is because we keep track of the chat. We want to make sure that we address as many questions as you can, or as we can. But I want you to just type a 1 in the chat. Let's just see, we feel like we're so different than each other all the time, right? But let's see how similar we are. So type a 1 in the chat if you feel like lack of communication is a top frustration that you hear people talk about. And if you have any sentiments, oh, look at those ones. Oh my gosh, thank you. Hey, you guys, I guess we picked a good topic. Well done, Nausheen. Amazing. And so what I really want to pull out, and then I'm going to put this over to Nausheen officially. We have to start to address this, right? You're going to get amazing, amazing tools in this session. What really, really matters is how we start to implement it. This is going to be presented in a way that perhaps you've never heard it before, which is amazing. Maybe it's going to resonate more. You're going to take that one little nugget of information that Nausheen dropped some gems of information on us. So as you're thinking about it, I want you to already be anticipating how to listen for that one thing that you can take into your business as soon as you get off of this call. If nothing else, pick one thing. And by the way, the slides can't be shared, I think. So we gotta really make sure that we pick the one thing that we can, boom, go make magic happen and make some really great changes so we get these ones to being crickets in the chat the next time we ask that question. Okay. All right. That is it for me, Nausheen. I think you're up, sister, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Enjoy. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica, for this wonderful introduction. And the chat was amazing. The key takeaways that you guys want to get from this, we're going to hit most of that, if not all of that today. So I already introduced myself, so we're going to skip through that. I want to start by sharing a little quote with you that I really like when it comes to relationship building. It's by Stephen Covey. He says that building and repairing relationships are long-term investments. Who agrees with that? That relationships are actually investments in ourselves, investments in our business, investments in our well-being as well. If you agree with that, drop an emoji in the chat. And I love this because when we think about an investment, for me, it says, hey, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes knowing certain things. And this is exactly what we're going to look at today. And in order to do that today, to focus on relationship, the topic of today is relationship building. Do you really know the other person? And I love this because very often we're talking to someone, we're communicating with someone, we work with someone, and when we take time to understand them, we realize that, oh, there's more to this person that what I knew, what I've known for years sometimes. And today you're going to be able to understand that deeper side of the people that you deal with. So I'm seeing the chat here and lots of emojis in there, loving it. Okay, so in order to do that today, I'm gonna use what we call the Maxwell disc method in order to understand the people around us as well as ourselves. Relationship building is not only about understanding others. Relationship building is also about understanding ourselves. Who are we? How are we showing up to other people? How are other people interpreting how we're saying, what we're saying, and how we're acting? And how does that match or not the people that are around us, the people that we engage with? And so you're going to have a lot of clarity around who you are today, but also who the people around you are. So in order to start this, we're going to have a little fun. Who's in for some fun? We're going to have a little exercise in just a few minutes. So if you're in for some fun, drop a thumbs up in the chat and we're going to get started. So in just a few minutes, you're going to see on your screen a sheet of paper. And on that sheet, there are lots of numbers, lots and lots of numbers. Don't worry, for those of you who aren't fans of mathematics, I got your back. There's no calculation involved. Don't worry about that. What's going to happen is you're going to see that sheet of paper. And what I'd like you to do is to start to identify the numbers in ascending order. So first, you will look for number 1. Then you'll start to look for number 2. Then you'll look for number 3, number 4, number 5, and so on and so forth. You have to look for them in ascending order. And this is a little friendly competition, if you will. We're going to see who can get to the highest number possible in 45 seconds. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready, and I'm going to share that and put my timer on.
Looks like people are ready.
Excellent. Okay. So quick reminder, look for the numbers in ascending order, starting from number 1, and you have 45 seconds to do that. We're going to see who can reach the highest number. And go. $20 seconds left. 10 seconds left. 5. And we're done. Okay, so stop. Stop and drop in the chat until what number did you reach when doing this exercise? Let's see what we're getting here. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of 88 and 85. I'm seeing also number 4, number 12, number 10, 22, 22, 14. Excellent. I think there's an average of maybe between 18 and 20. I cheated, 28.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so for those of you who said 88 or 85, here's the thing. So sometimes when I explain that, people think I need to find the highest number. The goal was to identify from number 1 and reach number 88. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 86, 87, 88, not to spot the highest number possible. So I believe you guys went to that highest number possible. Correct me if I'm wrong here. So the average that we got during this exercise is maybe between 18 and 20. And that's pretty high. Usually when I do this exercise, people reach 14 and 15. So for those of you who got number 20 there, 22, well done. Like that's a pretty high number to go into. Let me ask you a question here. Would you like to be able to go even higher than the number you got? Would you like a little trick that will help you to get there? Yes, right? I'm seeing it in the chat. Yes. So let's get to that. So if you look at that sheet of paper, you're going to see that on the top, there's a little notch. At the bottom, there's a little notch. And on the left and the right as well. If we connect these, we get 4 quadrants. And guess what? Number 1 is in the first quadrant. Number 2 in the second quadrant. 3 in the third, 4 in the fourth. The 5th is in the 5th quadrant. And so on and so forth. there's a pattern that this sheet of paper has that will help us now to do that exercise in an even better way. So with that little pattern in mind, we're going to try that exercise again. So same rules apply. I'm going to give you 45 seconds, and we're going to see how much further you're able to go with this new pattern. Are you ready? If you're ready, drop it in the chat. Okay. And let's start with a fresh sheet of paper and go. 45 seconds. Twenty seconds left. Ten seconds. Five. And we're done. Okay, now is the interesting part. Now drop the highest number you were able to get to that second time around. And let's see the difference it made. 34, 36, 40, 50. Oh my God, this is amazing. So let me ask you this question. What do you think just happened here? We had an average of 18 to 20 earlier on. And this time the productivity more than double. People got up to 50. What do you think contributed to that? Let's hear some of your answers there. Why do you think a pattern, right? Understanding the pattern, knowing where to look. Absolutely. We had a system. There was a method. Communicating a pattern. Trusting the process. I love that, Ryan. Focus. Jeff is talking about focus, loving that too. And we had a clue to make it faster. Absolutely. Knowing that pattern helped us to go faster. We were looking in a smaller area of the sheet, not the whole area of the sheet. And all of that allowed us to more than double our productivity. And here's the beautiful thing. This is a sheet of paper. But what you just experienced is the power of how knowing patterns allows us to know what to expect and get results that are even better. And the same holds true with the people in our lives. When we become aware of our own patterns first, we're able to be more effective. We're able to use less energy, both mentally and physically. And we're able to face challenges right on. But also when we're able to understand the pattern of the people around us, we're able to bridge that relationship, really create a bond that allows us to work better together. And so today we're going to look at patterns within ourselves and the people around us. Before we get to that, I'd love to share a little video here. Sometimes when we're communicating or when we're working with other people, there's some kind of miscommunication that happens, or it doesn't feel like we're on the same plane here. So let me share that little video and let me know in the chat if you've ever felt that way.
Oh, good. Here's Monica. She'll have something nice to say.
I straightened out your shower curtain so you won't get mildew. What? To me, that's nice.
How about that? When it comes to relationship building, understanding the other person is the real secret ingredient. Otherwise, things like what just happened in the video will happen again. To Monica, straightening the shower curtain so he doesn't get mildew is a nice thing to do. But the person who said she'll have something nice to say didn't have that in mind at all. Have you ever been in this kind of scenario? You expected somebody to be nice or do something, but they did something and you were like, oh my God, what are they even thinking about? Right? Yes, we've all been in these kind of situations. And so with what I'm going to equip you with today, you're going to be able to eliminate these kind of scenarios so that you're able to be nice in the way the other person wants you to be nice or expects you to be nice or show up or challenge them perhaps. So let's get started with that. So we're going to use the Maxwell DISC method today. DISC is a personality indicator. It basically tells us that there are 4 different personality styles. You may be a different personality style than I am, than Amanda, than Jessica, than Kathy is. And the 4 different personality styles are D for dominance, I for influence, S for steadiness, and C for compliance. One thing that I always like to highlight in this scenario is that the DISC framework is not meant to label us and place us in a box and close the lid on it. Far from that, we're actually a mix of the 4 personality styles. But depending on the environment we are in, we're going to be dominant in 1, 2, or 3 of these. And so over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you the different personality styles, how they show up, what it means. And then we're going to go through the communication style of each of them. And so in order to benefit the most from this session, I'd like you to do one thing. Take a sheet of paper, separate it into 4 columns. So you will write D, I, S, and C in each of these columns. As I talk through these different personality styles, I share with you some of the characteristics of these styles. You're going to notice that either your name will pop in your head, or you'll start to think about past interactions, and names of people you've interacted with will come to you. Write their name down in the relevant column. If I'm talking about the D personality style and you're thinking about Paul, write this down in the D column. At the end of our time today, you'll have a roadmap around how do the people around you function? What do they think about? What is top of mind for them? And what do they expect from you? And that's going to be your roadmap to build stronger relationships with them. Are you excited for that? Drop it in the chat if you're excited for this part. And we're going to get started. Okay, I'm seeing, yes, 100%. Amazing. Okay, so let's start with that first style, that dominant style. D stands for dominant, and they are the rare breed, if I can call it that way. Only about 3% of the population will exhibit this personality style. And when we think about this personality style, we're thinking about people who are very comfortable seeking control. They love control. They thrive on control. They can also make decisions very easily. They don't need all the details. They will make a decision with whatever information they have. What they want is to get results. In order to get results, they have to make decisions. And so they'll make decisions fast so they can get to the outcome and to the results fast. And they also have a very direct approach. Now, who do you know that is like that? Who do you know that has this very direct communication style, that when they're on a project, they will try to take control of it, and they love that? Who do you know that makes decisions very, very, very fast, and that is very result oriented? This is the D personality style. So drop their name in that first column on a sheet of paper, the D column. And we're going to watch that personality in action here. Now, I'm using Friends video to illustrate that. I love Friends because it's humorous, but it also illustrates a lot of personality style. So let's look at this personality style in action.
Dr. Green. Oh my God, it's Rachel's dad. What are you doing here?
What, the father can't drop by to see the daughter on her birthday?
Oh, no, the father can. But, since I am the roommate, I can tell you that she's not here, and I'll pass along the message, okay? So bye-bye.
Oh, you're having a party.
No, not a party. Just a surprise gathering of some people Rachel knows. This is Phoebe and Chandler and Joey.
I'll never remember all of that. So, what's the deal? Rachel comes home, people pop out and yell stuff, is that it?
This isn't your first surprise party, is it, sir?
Okay, so how fun was that? Or not, maybe. Oh, Amanda is saying me, George is saying me, Maria is saying me. So drop your name in that column. That's a little bit more self-awareness that you're getting right here, right? And I love that beginning part when Monica said it's Rachel's dad. You see the balloon deflating. Very often when the D personality style comes across as very strong, they can have this effect in the room that they're coming in. So this is where self-awareness is really important, because as you get to discover, for those of you who said me, as you get to discover the different personality style, now you're going to understand how your personality style matches with them or not, and what needs to be tweaked in order to really bridge that relationship with the others. Let's move on to the next one, the I personality style. The I stands for influence, and they constitute about 11% of the population. They are the people who I call the people. They are always around people, or rather people are always around them, because they are great storytellers. They always have the best story to tell. If it's raining today, for me, I'll say, oh, it's raining today. That's it. They will have the best story around it's raining today. And people will be fascinated by their storytelling skills. They're very creative individuals as well. They come up with ideas spontaneously. They're the one that would usually say, oh, let's go for lunch out of the blue and create plans like this. Or even if they're on a marketing plan, they will have some of the most crazy ideas. They're also the people who are very friendly. They love people. They love to talk. And they love to have people around them as well. And they love to have fun. A lot of them will have fun as their value. They love to have fun. It has to be part of their daily activities. It has to be part of their work as well. If you're dealing with one of the I personality style, you're going to notice that. They will not thrive in an environment that is more structured, because that's not fun for them. Now let's look at some of the I personality style in action here.
Cups and ice? Oh, I get to be in charge of cups and ice? All right. Fine, okay, I will be in charge of cups and ice.
Wait a minute, I can get ice at the restaurant.
I got it mine! Hey, is it okay if I leave this stuff here till Rachel's birthday party?
Sure, what's in them?
Cups.
Oh, good, because we got Rachel 800 gallons of water.
Seriously, that's a lot of cups.
Yeah, well, that's because I'm in charge of cups and ice, and Monica is going to rue the day that she put me in charge of cups and ice.
You know, I rued the day once. Didn't get a whole lot else done.
Okay, time to bring up the rest of the cups.
Hey, Pete. Hey.
Hey, check it out. Cup hat, cup banner, cup chandelier, and the thing that started it all, the cup.
Great job with the cups, Phoebes.
Why don't you just go out with her?
And did you notice the ice? Look, we have it all. We have crushed, cubed, and dry. Watch. Ah. Mystical.
Oh.
I don't want eating my Tuscan finger food because they're all filling up on Phoebe's snow cones.
There are snow cones?
Snow cones?
You go.
Thank you.
Okay, so that illustrates the I personality style. They are fun, they are creative, and their ideas very often bring people together. There's snow cones, there is smoke, there is decorations made of cups. Who would have thought about all of that? I know I wouldn't have, even though I have a little bit of I in me. So this illustrates perfectly the I personality style. And so let's move on to that next one, the S personality style. So the S personality style is very important because we constitute about 69% of the population. And I'm saying we here because I'm a primary S personality. They're the individuals who are team oriented. They thrive in that team environment. So if you're dealing with people who have that S personality, you want to create that team environment. If you're a D personality, for example, and you want to work with that S because they're very loyal, they follow through on what they said they're going to do. And so they're going to really help you achieve your goals. And acceptance is a word that can be used in that scenario with the S personality here. They're loyal and they work best in that cohesive environment, that cohesive atmosphere. So it's very important to keep that in mind whenever we're dealing with the S personality style. So who do you know who shows up these characteristics? Who do you know that you deal with, or perhaps it's yourself who falls into that category? So when you think about building a relationship with them, having a very direct approach will not go a very long way. But creating that team environment, creating clarity for them around the goals and their role in it will be very important. And the last person, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have a question from the audience. What does S stand for again in DISC?
S stands for steady. I'm an S. Saying I'm an S. Okay. Okay, great. So that's the S personality style. So I hope by now you have a few names on your sheet of paper. We're going to go to that last personality style here, which is the C style. The C stands for compliance. Every time I talk about the C style, I think about my past when I was in the corporate world. Who did I deal with that had that personality style? And very often it would be people who are in accounting, in the legal department, in the compliance department, in the auditing department, because this is where their brilliant mind can really make a difference and is really put to use. And they thrive in that area because it's a very structured and organized area. So they constitute about 17% of the population, and they are the people who are very compliant. They will follow the rules to the letter. They have that analytical mind going on all the time. They're great planners. So if you have to plan something, especially if you're an I personality, if you're an I personality, you want the fun. You don't want the planning part. This is where collaboration with the C personality goes hand in hand, because they will be great planners. You will add the fun in. It will be the best thing ever. And they value accuracy. So when they value accuracy, they will not resonate with, I feel that. They will resonate with, these are the facts. This is what I read. This is what the study said. And so if you want to build a relationship with them, you have to lead with those facts, lead with those information, because this is really what's going to allow you to connect with them at a deeper level. So those are the 4 different personality styles. I hope by now your sheet is full of names, so you have kind of a map of who the people around you are and how, in discovering who you are yourself, what's your personality style, you're able to understand, hey, that's how I can communicate better. I can be better with somebody else that has a different personality style. You're starting to make sense of the past interactions you've had with some of the individuals that you work with on a daily basis. So that's the characteristics part. Of course, there are a lot more to cover under each of these personality styles, but for the sake of this presentation, we're just going to have that overview here. And now I want to end with the communication piece, which is really, really important when it comes to relationship building. So how do we create a deeper connection with each of these individuals? Let me ask you this. Have you heard about the golden rule of communication? Treat others as you would like to be treated. And who agrees with that? Who lives that? Treat others as you would like to be treated. Drop it in the chat. Drop an emoji in the chat if you agree with that statement. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of yeses here. Belinda, Tiffany, Maria, agreed, right? Treat others as you would like to be treated. And it kind of makes sense because, hey, I want to be treated that way. It makes me feel good. I would like others to feel good too. But let's take a step back for a few seconds. We just learned about 4 different personality styles. How relevant is treating others in the way that I would like to be treated when we are all different? John Maxwell, the author John Maxwell says, connecting increases our influence in every situation. And that's very true, but only if we're able to upgrade that golden rule. We upgrade that golden rule and we have the platinum rule of communication. Now, who can guess what the platinum rule of communication is after learning about the different personality style? Who can guess what it is? Let me see in the chat here. Michelle is saying, treat them as they would like to be treated. Absolutely, Michelle. The platinum rule of communication is treat them as they would like to be treated. We just talked about different personality style, how different people resonate with different things, what they value, how they value things differently. We saw that D personality style. We saw that I personality style in action. And they don't want the same things. They don't act the same way. That's why it's important to lead our lives, our workplace, and our relationships with the platinum rule of communication. And that means speaking the other person's language. As an S personality style, primary S, I like certain things. I like to be communicated to in certain ways. And each of the personality style have that too. We're going to go through that in just a few seconds. But before that, let's look at what can happen if we don't use that platinum rule of communication. I have a little funny video for you here as well.
Seems pretty simple. Your first line is, my name is Claude. So just repeat after me. Je m'appelle Claude.
Je te coupe plow.
Let's try it again.
Okay.
Je m'appelle Claude.
Je te plie mlou.
Huh. It's not quite what I'm saying.
Really? Sounds exactly the same to me.
It does? Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's just try it again.
Okay.
Really listen.
Got it.
Je m'appelle Claude.
Je te floop flee.
Oh, mon Dieu.
Oh, de fouf.
Je m'appelle Claude.
Je te cold blue.
No! Je m'appelle.
Pel.
Great. Okay, faster. Je m'appelle.
Pel.
Je m'appelle.
Me poupou.
Don't go, I need you. My audition is tomorrow. Je blue blah. Me lapi. Umbra.
Okay, have you ever had an interaction like this? You are taking your time to explain to the other person everything, perhaps in a lot of details, doing your very best, but the message does not seem to go across. Just like in this scenario, Phoebe's trying to teach Joey French. It's just not going through. And it creates frustration, right? It creates sadness. It doesn't lead to anything productive. That's why applying the platinum rule is very important, because when we speak the other person's language, saying the same message, having the same message, we're able to get through to the other person. They're able to act on it and they're able to move forward. So let's look at the different communication style here of the different personalities. So if you want to build a solid relationship, weave the D personality. This is what you need to do. Be brief, be direct, be to the point, and leave. As an S personality style, that does not resonate with me. I need something different. We're going to look at that in a few minutes. But if somebody is direct and to the point and just leave, I'll be like, oh, that was rude. But that's what the D personality style wants. Remember the video earlier about Rachel's dad coming in, taking control, and was very direct in his communication, even if it came across as rude, right? You want to ask what questions and not how. The D personality, they don't have time. They have things to get to, people to attain to. They have outcomes and results to reach. They don't want to know the details. They just want to know what's going to be done, not how it's going to be done. Focus on the results, because this is what's important to them. This is how you know you're going to get their attention. Don't ramble. And every time you talk about a problem, relate it to the outcome. If it doesn't relate to the outcome, you're going to lose you're going to lose their attention. So that's the communication style for the D. So is there anybody in your surrounding that's a D personality style? And you feel like when you're talking to them, it's like you're on a timer here. They're like, you can feel like they're getting restless. We've all been in this situation, right? Oh yes, Tiffany saying, oh yes. So now you have the tool to build a relationship with them and connect with them. And I promise you, they're going to be thankful to you. They're going to see value in you. Because that's how they evaluate. That's the lens through which they evaluate people. Let's move on to that I style. So the I personality style, remember, the fun people, the spontaneous people. They're the one who love to do the talking. They're the storytellers, remember? And they love having people around them. So don't do all the talking. Let them talk. Let them express themselves. Don't ignore their ideas. Hear them out, acknowledge them. And if you think their ideas is not at a level you need it to be yet or will not work, recognize their effort and encourage them to keep looking and come back to you. Now, the I personality style is very animated and they also get distracted very easily. So having long conversations with them will not work. It's better to follow up with details in writing. They'll be grateful to you for that. And also, it's better to have 10 short-minute conversations with them than a long 40 minutes conversation. And adopt what we call the sandwich approach here. That means you start the conversation with some socializing. How are you doing? Let them talk a little bit. Then you get to the business, whatever it is that you need to get to tell them or discuss. And then you end with some more social time or some more time to talk about it. Remember, they're the people who process their thought by talking. And by giving them that opportunity, you're building that relationship with them. You're allowing them to be themselves, process the information so they can help you in the project that you're working on, or whatever it is that you guys are working on. This is going to go a long way with the I personality style. And let's move on to the S here, the S personality style. You want to create a friendly tone for discussion. So the Ds, please keep that in mind when you're talking to the S's, because they may actually shut down if they feel that they're being confronted with a very direct approach, a very direct communication. Show interest in the person. Don't be overly aggressive. This is when the shutdown can happen. And remember, they're great team members. They're very loyal and they will follow through on what they said they're going to do. But in order to do that, it's very important for them to know what the goal is and their role in the goal, and each person's role towards that goal in that team. If they have that, they will be the best team member ever. And so make sure in your communication, when you're dealing with them, especially in the context of work, that you're clearly defining that for them. And they also take some time to adjust. So make sure you're checking in on them whenever there is change. So over the past year, it's been hard on a lot of people. Remember, 69% of the population are S personalities. And so change is hard and they take time to adjust. So check in with them. Ask them how you can support them in that area. So let's look at a little video here on the S personality style. So you'll actually see a D versus an S personality. And you'll actually see how the S is able to step into courage and win that one. And everybody can do that. So let's witness this in action. Yes, Jessica.
I was just going to point out, you brought up very, very important points there. 68, how much, what did you say, 68%? 69% have this trait. And they take a lot, they take time, just like every human. I think that kind of applies to every letter. Everybody takes time to adjust to change. But think about what this could do to impact the change that is happening in your organization. And I just wanted to highlight that before we watch this video, because my guess, I haven't even seen it yet. My guess is that it's going to look a little bit like whatever you're working on. So just a hunch, but go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to really emphasize that.
Loving that for sure. And it's important to keep that top of mind as we continue with the presentation here. How does it apply to your reality here, the change that's happening in your organization? Thanks for highlighting that, Jessica. So let's look at that D versus the S in action.
Joanna, I want to talk about that interview.
I thought it went very well.
No, it didn't. That's what I want to talk to you about. Now, just to brief you, I may cry, but they are not tears of sadness or of anger, but just of me having this discussion with you.
Rachel, please, don't make a scene.
There's nobody here.
Sophie, get in here. You see? Now you're making Sophie uncomfortable.
She's not making me uncomfortable.
Congratulations, you just crossed the line into completely useless. Get out.
Do you want me to quit?
What? What would make you think that?
Well, all of those things that you said in the interview, I mean, if you believe any of them, I must not be a very good assistant. You know what? I am just going to pack up my desk, and I will be gone by the end of the day. Well, I guess there's no use me sticking around till the end of the day.
Wait. You can put your sad little muffin back in its drawer. You must know the truth. I didn't want to lose a perfectly good assistant.
What?
That's why I said all those things about your flirting and your drinking.
My drinking?
Oh, I must have said that after you left.
Said what exactly?
That you enjoyed the occasional drink. Binge.
Oh my God! Oh, that is it! I'm leaving. You are just a horrible person.
No, wait. Now, if you're gonna get all sensitive about it, I don't want to lose you. What if I create a position for you? I'll make you assistant buyer in this department.
Say more things like that.
You can have your own office and a raise, effective tomorrow.
I need an expense account.
Done.
And an assistant.
Sophie, get in here.
Okay, so that was the S, the D versus the S personality. So who do you think was the D and the S in the scenario? The boss versus the employee. Who was the S, who was the D personality? And I want to highlight here, the S personality really started at the beginning. They don't like confrontation, and we can see that. She talks about the tears that will be here. It's not even tears of sadness. It's just the tears because I'm having that conversation, right? They really don't like confrontation. And so if we're a D personality, for example, if you take the time to just have that conversation that they were able to have towards the end, things would have been solved rather than go around, be very direct, be very rude or aggressive, right? So really opening up and having that conversation in a way that would resonate with the S personality. But I also like this video because it highlights how the S personality can have the fear of confrontation. They don't align with aggressiveness, but sometimes when they step into courage and they're able to voice out what it is that they need as well, good things happen. In no way am I saying to leave your job, so don't do that. What I'm saying is your value, your opinions, your thoughts are valued. Speak them out, communicate them. And in that scenario, Rachel was able to say it in a very direct way to her manager. She didn't take offense in that. She just took action right away. Typical D personality. So I want to encourage, if you're an S personality here, I want to encourage you to speak up, to share your ideas and have a conversation with the people around you, which I can be very difficult for some of us. So have you ever been in a scenario like that? Drop a yes if you can relate to that. S is Rachel, D is Joanna. Exactly, Deborah. Yeah. Now let's look at that last personality style before we start to wrap up the session, the presentation here. Now the last one is the C personality style, the compliant style. How to communicate with a C. Remember, the C's are the people who are very analytical. They have that analytical mind going. They're great planners. They value accuracy. And so to communicate with them, connect with them, build a relationship with them, we need to be detail oriented. We need to use validated facts. Remember, I mentioned earlier, don't use, I feel like this is what we want to do. Rather use validated facts. This is what I read from this article. This is what this study showed. This is what this research shows. This helps you connect with them. And they will value everything that you have to tell them. Be very specific as well. We're going to see in a little video right now how specificity is really important, but in a fun way. And the last part, when you talk about the C, when talking about communicating with the C personality style, is we want to be a little bit patient, and answer all of their questions, and even follow up to provide them additional details if needed. Here's the thing, when you're communicating with the C, sometimes they might have a lot of questions on their mind because they want to know, they need that. This is how they make their decisions. They need those information to process and make decisions and move forward. And sometimes what happens when people are asking you a lot of questions? How do you feel? Drop that in the chat. How do you feel when people are asking you a lot of questions? You're having a conversation with them and they keep asking you, bombarding you with questions. How does that make you feel? It can feel like they are attacking us, right? Like they're questioning us. And here's the thing, if you know the person next to you or opposite of you, the C personality, you will know that they're not attacking you. They're not questioning you. They're trying to support you by getting the maximum amount of information that they need to thrive in what you need them to do, to be your best collaborator. Overwhelmed. Belinda is saying exactly. SP saying overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is something that comes up, right? And so if you're C personality style, this is what you want from people, isn't it? And if you're not, this is what the people you're dealing with would want. If you're dealing with C personality style, information and details. Now let's look at how details is really important and being very specific, because their mind is always going, always processing information and thinking through. And sometimes overthinking is not too good as well. So let's look at that fun little video to illustrate that.
You're gonna face the red light. When the red light goes on, the spraying's about to start, so close your eyes. When the spraying stops, count to 5. Pat yourself down to avoid drip marks, then turn around so we can get your back. You got it?
Spray, count, pat, and turn. Spray, count, and pat.
Wow, you catch on quick.
Well, I have a PhD, so. One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. I'm not finished counting! You sprayed my front twice.
You never turned?
No, I barely even got to 3 Mississippi.
Mississippi? I said count to 5.
Mississippi, Leslie? Well, how bad is it?
Not that bad yet, but it keeps getting darker for the next 4 hours.
So how dark is it gonna get?
Oh, you got sprayed with 2 2s and...
I'm a 4?
Yeah, but your back's a 0. You're gonna want to even that out.
Really?
You might want to get back in there.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna face...
Okay, so that's the C personality style. If we're not very specific, their mind will start to think through different things. And in this scenario, he counted Mississippi. I don't even know what that is. And so we have to be very specific when talking to the C personality style, so they understand what is expected of them. They can be their best, and they can really, you guys can really thrive together in whatever it is that you're working on. And the relationship will get stronger and stronger. So these, my friend, are the 4 different communication style as it relates to the DISC. Building effective relationships really starts with understanding the other person and understanding how to communicate to them. When we speak the other person's language, relationships are really strengthened. You're able to understand each other, leverage on each other, and reduce conflict and get to where you need to be more productive much more easily. When we know how someone is wired, we can build a deeper relationship and connection with them, using the platinum rule to connect with your customers, your colleagues, your suppliers, and the people around you. Remember, treat others as they would like to be treated. That's it for me today, everyone. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take any of these now.
Nausheen, just to do a little bit of a transition here.
Sure.
This is why it was so important to be able to have this conversation as a team of people who get this, right? Think about the diversity of letters you have on your own team, whether you're leading them because there's a clear reporting structure in place, or with your stakeholders. I mean, that's like the biggest example here that I can think of is that, and people aren't going to walk around perhaps saying, I'm an I, I'm a C, right? You have to be perceptive in that and look at how do they act? And then how can you not people please, right? But, and we're not pretzeling ourselves to be like them, but maybe that person wants to be communicated through a presentation that's sent to them rather than a conversation. Maybe they're the type of person that does not like to be popped in on in their office just because the door is open. Like they're the type of person that likes to have the meetings scheduled. So I just the reflection moment of, again, how do we take this back into the places that we work?
Absolutely.
We gotta look around and notice what traits people are exhibiting. But yeah, as Amanda was going through, she's saying, go ahead and put the questions in the chat. So do we have any questions?
I work with a strong, and so Amanda is.
I can read it for you. Want me to, Nausheen?
Yeah, do you want me to do? I can go ahead and do it. I work with a strong D who sometimes gets into the weeds and operates outside of her D-ness. I love that because people can flex back and forth too, right? At times. It's extremely frustrating when this happens and quite confusing. How do I deal with this?
So can you give us a little bit of context around what do you mean that operates outside of her D-ness? And let me ask you this, Tiffany, did you relate to the D personality as well? Are you more of a direct personality style?
She's a C.
You're a C. And what do you mean when you mention they operate outside of that D personality? What are they showing that is creating that confusion?
And while she's typing, it sounds like she sometimes can get into the weeds. She mentions that in the original statement, like gets detailed at times. She usually wants a 30,000 foot view of everything, and then sometimes she wants a lot more detail.
We'll prepare that.
So so Nausheen, you tell me if this is accurate or not. We see this a lot in the work that we do too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a need for concrete understanding what is happening. Give me the sense, not the sense of control. Like I need to understand what is happening, and I feel like I'm not getting it, so I go in deeper and I ask more questions, and then it becomes more stressful for the person who is really good at that, right?
Yeah, so my advice with that, as related to how Jessica just explained it, is my guess is here, whatever is happening is not being related to the outcome. So they're trying to see, okay, all of this is happening. How is that affecting my outcome? How is that going to affect the results that I want, that we're striving for together? So for them not to get into those details, being able to relate that to the outcome directly will really be helpful for them. Because when they start to ask questions, they're going to start to, they're trying to understand, say, how does that affect my outcome here? This is really what they're trying to understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and people are responding back, yeah, that they need to know whatever details impact them. Always have the detail in your hip pocket. You might not always need to present it.
The detail that relates to the outcome for the D personality, not all the details of how, the details of, okay, this is what happened, this is how it affects the outcome. How we're going to fix it is none of their business. What you're going to do is okay, but not the details of the how. The details of as it relates to the outcome and the results is what they really want.
Awesome.
One thing to add to that too,
yes.
Make sure you get out of them what the outcome is. That's a really important foundational step. And sometimes they might think it's clear, but it's not potentially to those that are on the team. So this is where we have to ask for it. We have to open that line of communication, because remember, the D wants to make the decision quickly, right? Absolutely. So how do we open the path for them to be able to do that? Ask what clarity you need.
Yeah, and then let's talk for a few seconds here around how do we have that kind of conversation? So Tiffany here, she says she's a C and the person she's dealing with is a D, right? How do we have that kind of conversation here when the D doesn't have time, right? So lead with the outcome again. So when you're going to have that conversation with them, the key point to make is, I want to help you get to those results, highlight the results that you're going to get. And in order to do this, I would like to know this, and that. What are those exactly? These are the confusion points that I have. But start the conversation with the outcomes that they are interested in. Mentioning to them, I want to help you get to your goals. And I'm a little bit unclear around what that is. Direct approach. Can you help me understand that? And then they can clarify that for you, because now they heard outcome, they heard results. They can help you get there. They can help you clarify that.
Love that. Okay, so we have another question coming in.
Yes.
How do you deal with different cultures in the workplace? What might be rude to an American can be normal behavior in a different culture?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, especially as the world starts to open up and we have people from different countries working together. I actually worked when I was working at Microsoft, I worked with people from all around the world. And this is where I think personality style is really important, understanding the person first so that you're able to have a conversation about what is important for them, what is considered rude in their culture or not. Be able to have that kind of conversation with the people that you're dealing with, leading with how they want to be communicated with. So for example, let's say, so when I was working at Microsoft, I used to work with people in America. I used to work with people in the Middle East, and it's very, very different culture. And so when I deal with people with them in the Middle East, depending on their personality style, I could have a transparent conversation with them. Let's say if it's an I personality style, I would make some time to socialize with them, build that relationship by connecting with them in a way that resonates with them. So that's social time. And from there, I'll be able to ask them questions around culture, right? Hey, this is how it is here in Canada. I would love to know how it is in the Middle East, or it was in Dubai. So how are things done differently over there? So now you're getting to understand their culture, and you're getting to have the culture conversation with them that sets you up for success. Does that resonate, Karen?
And I just want to add, yeah, Karen said yes, thank you. Just to add to that, I think there's also this a curiosity, right? And I'm self-admitted a D personality. So I do, and Jessica and I've had these conversations. I am considered an adventurer. So like if you think about someone that might sail the seas by themselves or with their crew. So, but what I have found to help blend that a little bit is to try to be curious about the other person. Ask some really great questions, take a moment to be curious about the individual so you can learn how they react to things and how their cultures play into how they approach business situations and then also personal situations.
Absolutely. Leading with that curious mind.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent.
All right. And we're waiting for any additional questions. Please feel free to drop them into the chat. We have several more minutes here to go, and maybe time
I'm
for
seeing here, so Tiffany mentioned, I think, so we're talking about that clarity piece around what are those outcomes, right, from a depersonality. She mentioned that I think that things shift so regularly that clarity is needed, is definitely needed in this scenario. And so one of the things that came to mind as I was reading that, Tiffany, and everybody who's on the call here, is now that you guys have been through this presentation, you've got to learn about the different personality style. Take that, use that to have a conversation with the people that you deal with on a regular basis. And it's a simple conversation. I do that with my coaching client all the time. As they discover more about themselves, I'll encourage them to have a conversation with their manager. Simple. Just say, hey, I've just discovered about these different personality styles and different communication styles. And I understood how I was. And I think I understand you a little bit better. I would love to share that with you. Can we spend 5 to 10 minutes to talk about that a little bit so we can get to work together better? So use that as an example to share more with them. So now not only you're understanding them, but they are also starting to understand you. I think that's a really powerful conversation to have.
So I actually have a question, because I ran into this. It was not this model, but it was a similar model. I think it was called People Styles. But I did this with my team, and then my team members all started labeling each other. And, you know, a new team member came in, and one of my existing team members said, you're a driver, or you're an expression, or whatever it might be. And that individual took the individual that was being labeled didn't appreciate that, because they felt like they were being put into a box. So how do you have those conversations without, I guess, quote unquote, labeling or putting people on the defensive?
I think it's having the person speak about what they relate to versus me saying, this is who you are. It's about having the conversation of, these are the different ways of communication. Which one resonates best with you? You don't necessarily have to say, oh, you're a C personality, you're a D personality, but you would know that based on what they're saying, that curiosity piece is really important here, right? Asking the questions to understand which one resonated with them the most from the different communication style, for example, and then you would know what it is, not necessarily pointing fingers and saying, this is your personality or that's your personality. And once you've done that, you will have a clarity for yourself, but also you can share those some of the things that you've learned today with them about all the different personality style, and ask them which one resonates with them. That way it's coming from them. It's not us maybe judging them because of what we've experienced from them, right? So I think that's the two ways that we can handle this.
I also love how doing exercises like these, and I've done DISC, color code, predictive index, MBTI, you know, I all of them have nuggets of really great information. It's all about how do we just become aware. I really think that is before, maybe even just the slightest difference before we speak. How do we take a minute and assess who we're talking to? We're not going to get it right. How many people do you deal with on a daily basis, right? Like this is complex, but it's such an amazing tool to first know yourself, right? For me, that's been always the first step, to master the nuances that is me, and then be able to, you know, start to look at how does this trait pair up with someone else's? And also, how do we remember not to try and be all the letters? Like, own your letter, you guys. Like, yes, there is a dynamic element that there are little pieces of every letter that I'm sure is part of who we are, but we have to not be an I and constantly want to be an S or something else. Like, we just have to really master our own language and then be cognizant around how do we communicate and bring others into the conversation.
All right.
I love how you said that.
Yeah. And ladies, it looks like we're coming up on the end of the official time session, I believe. And then there are no further comments in the chat.
Before we sign off, what's the one thing everybody's taken from this meeting? We're not leaving. What is the one thing you're going to integrate?
I'm just going to leave my email and LinkedIn here for anybody who has any follow-up question. Feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, I'm also interested to know, what is your key takeaway here?
Yeah.
Self-awareness is key. Know others first.
Oh, I love that, Deborah. What they need. God, if we could get that right more often, imagine the things we would never have to worry about.
Knowledge is power.
Who my D's are.
And don't be afraid of the D's, by the way. And every letter is important. And that's not like everybody wins a trophy, like everybody gets a participation award. Like, this is a real statement that every letter really matters. That's where team excellence comes in.
Exactly. It's the diversity that we complement each other, right? What the D will do well, the S won't do well. But what the S does well, the D cannot get right. The I and the S is the same.
Yeah. Amazing.
Here.
Amazing. I hope everybody enjoyed this. Nausheen, you are just a wealth of knowledge. You make it so easy to understand what you're teaching. Amanda, always thank you for being, helping moderate and adding your gems. And Kathy, thanks for the stage. Thanks for letting us share it all together like we asked, and have it be super interactive. So thanks for giving us the spotlight to show how this works in everyday life.
Thanks everyone.